Peace and prosperity, royal family. So, today I want to talk about my year of living nomadic and how changing my name and moving to a place I had never been completely changed my life. And there's just a few mini stories in the midst of that as well that I'll touch on. So, where to begin? So, I'll say I was blessed with the opportunity of moving out of my mom's house after conflict, being put out, to keep it real. And after some months of some dark living, but we're not going to talk about that. I ended up on the island of St. Vincent. I've talked about that in a different video. Probably post that somewhere. That 6-7 months of being on the island introduced me to a new life, a new reality that I never thought of, I never conceptualized, never experienced, never saw. A life of living off grid, a life of growing your own food and learning organic farming. So that was really the beginning of that was like the spark of this journey of nomadic living and completely changing how I was living life. So left the island, came back to the States, came back for my mom's wedding, was living with family again, though I knew it was temporary. And I started my year-long plus journey of living nomadic by way of woofing. Worldwide opportunities on organic farms. And the first location was kind of a tester. I was still in Michigan, about 40 minutes away from my family. And that was like before I even conceptualized living nomadic and traveling to different farms, different states, to learn and practice organic farming. Then my eyes were set on New Mexico, on or at a ski lodge in northern New Mexico, where I was actually given a new name. So this was not the first time that I took up a new name. You know, if you've been paying attention, I was a professional dominatrix some years ago in Atlanta, so I've gone by a different name before. So I know the power behind a different identity, also the safety as well. So in New Mexico, because I had a similar name to somebody who had just left that space and that person left a dissatisfying taste in the people's mouth, the community's mouth, they wanted to give me a nickname. And I didn't really have a nickname that I was really passionate about. So they gave me the name Allie. And soon I'm like, I can't keep this white girl name. So I changed it to Ali, Muhammad. And even looking into the definition of that name was very powerful. So I kept it throughout my year of nomadic living and traveling. New Mexico introduced me to another way of living, not off grid, but being introduced to the what's coined the Native American community, Native American tribe in northern New Mexico. where, I was learning the ritual and the ceremonial traditions of like ceremony sweats, and post dinners, and visiting the pueblo, and learning about a lot of different history, practices, all that stuff amongst the Native American tribe in that community in Arroyo Seco. And that was just the beginning. That whole journey actually sparked me coming back into connection with my ancestors. Um, I started deep diving, asking questions about my lineage on my dad's side at first, and just going through the whole, where did I come from? Who did I come from? What's the story that led to me? And then I transitioned to go to Alabama, completely different region of the states, completely different environment, different people. I was actually around people who looked like me, versus in New Mexico, I was around all white people and Native Americans too, but mostly white people. And I brought that name, Ali, to Alabama, where both of these places, well, all three of these places, nobody knew, like my family, who I came from. Nobody knew my worst mistakes, which were all positives, especially on this new journey of really learning who I am outside of my family, which, most people go through that in their adulthood, of really, some people go through that in their adulthood of discovering and creating, developing their identity outside of their family. They may create their own beliefs, their own lifestyles, their own practices, all that good stuff. So I was living in Alabama for another, that was like 6, 7, 8, 9 months, because I came back for a few months. And the pros, as I mentioned some already, pros of changing your name and moving to somewhere you have never been. Like I said, no one knows your past. No one knows your worst mistakes. People don't know who you used to be. So you're not constantly being reaffirmed of that old identity when you're in a state of developing a more authentic identity. Is a major pro. Um, so yeah, it creates space to really go within and discover your morals, your values, your beliefs, and how you want to live your life. I was living life unlike anything any of my family, at least in the last few decades, the last few generations, have lived. I was able to go against the status quo and to decide for myself how I want to live life without any influence, any judgment from my family. Because at this time, I was also kind of excommunicated. Is that the word? I wasn't in communication with my family, which isn't new, but it was more intentional at this time. So I was really able to have a completely fresh start and be how I wanted to see myself live life. Now, with there being pros, there are also cons. One con specifically is stripping away everything that defines and describes your previous life cycles, it can give you a sense of instability. It can kind of tear down your foundation of your identity. And if you're not strong in self-care, strong in, spiritual practices, religious practices, if you don't have some type of support around you, it can be very disillusionable, disillusioned, confusing, and it could feel like you're just free falling into nothingness. And not everybody can handle that, not everybody desires that. So, in no way am I like, not that I'm not encouraging it, because I'm definitely encouraging it, but I do recognize that it's not for everybody. So this is not for the weak at all. This journey, this lifestyle that I am talking about is not for, if you're not ready for it, if it doesn't align with you, don't do it. Um Another con, along with people not knowing your worst mistakes, people also don't know your best qualities. So even though you aren't being constantly reaffirmed with this previous identity, you still have a sense of who you have been up until that point, for better and for worse, and especially for better. So even though you know who you are in your brightest light, other people don't know that until or unless that opportunity comes to see that quality. And so sometimes it can feel kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be a slap in the face when you know who you are, like what you're capable of, and it's like you have to prove yourself in a way that you've never really had to prove yourself. When you are around people who have watched you grow up and seen what you're capable of. And along with that, it can be a challenge coming across loyalty, because you are just this person in a single moment in time without connection to these new people with, long-term time and development and all that stuff. So people, especially in this world today, people don't tend to trust and be loyal to people um off bat. And I don't mean like a blind naive trust. I just mean a sense of community, really, is what I mean. So while I was in these spaces with the best intentions, the purest heart, and the most excitement for what lied ahead, these people didn't necessarily see me as community like I was intending to see them and create with them. So loyalty was a big thing, which came with its own challenges: hurt, pain, abandonment, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, so that's, very transformational, very powerful, and even beautiful prose, while also acknowledging the challenging and the ugly, tumultuous cons. So that was just some quick notes because it was just on my mind, trying to sleep, couldn't sleep, and my mind was just going. And like I said in the previous video, I'm being obedient and making these videos when the ideas come to me. But with all that being said, changing my name and traveling, living in places that I had never been in before, completely life changing. So, with anything, there are pros and there are cons. There are rewards, there are challenges, there are even rewards in the challenges. So, don't let any of this, deter you, scare you, or anything like that. Because no matter what you do in life, you're going to come to some challenges. You feel me? But you get to choose the method in which you receive them, the environments, the expressions, so to speak. It may not be living nomadic, but it may be, you know, something else. So, yes, changing my name and living in new spaces, I was able to release a lot of limiting beliefs by way of seeing other ways that other people live. So, like, your perspective of life is expanded because you are coming across people who are walking all sorts of journeys of life with all different beliefs, all different habits, all everything, lifestyle, all that stuff. So, your perspective is really expanded and your limiting beliefs really start to shed away. Along with that, I was able to see myself outside of my past identities or previous identities because those identities weren't being continuously reaffirmed by way of language and communication and by way of interactions. Like people interact with you differently based on how they see you. And even the people with the best intentions and the most love for you oftentimes have a hard time getting past who you used to be, the things that you've gone through, things that you've done, and they interact with you according to that. Like, plenty of people in my family, because of the change in how I live now, have blatantly said or hinted at the fact that I may be mentally unstable. Like, I was told that living nomadic was a symptom of multiple personalities disorder or whatever words were used. It was made to be like, as I was seeing my nomadic journey as very powerful, very eye-opening, and very expansive, having the conversation with somebody in my family, they narrated my journey, which they've never even lived anything like it. So they have no way of perceiving in the truest light. But they narrated my journey as the best way, just unstable, mentally, physically, emotionally. Kind of like how people see homeless people or people with mental disorders or people with addictions. Like, that was basically the energy and the narrative that I was being met with. So, not everybody will get it. And that's with anything in life that you choose to do that looks differently than what other people choose to live by. And that's when self-awareness, confidence, inner guidance comes to play. because people will always have stuff to say, especially miserable people. Like people will always have stuff to say about everybody else and don't even have this. Well, actually, people judge other people so much because they judge themselves. They just don't be doing nothing about it a lot of times. But anywho, that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to give a little insight. If you're thinking about some type of nomadic living, I know a lot of people have been watching my journey and have been loving my reconnection to nature by way of gardening. It's been a journey for sure. It's not active right now, but yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling. I think that's pretty much everything. But yeah, think about it. If you have the urge of something drastic and new, change your name and move to a different area, a different city, a different state, a different country. Have a plan. I did not have a plan, but I had an inner guidance that was guiding me. This was the most I have ever been in surrender, which most people also don't get because we're told that we have to have a plan. And so when I say have a plan, have intentions. Because what they say, God laughs at our plans in the face of our plans, or whatever the saying is. Nothing ever goes how we actually plan it. But have intentions, have a vision, especially have a feeling for what you are seeking, what you are aligning with on this type of journey. But yeah, this journey definitely called me to surrender, especially not working. I haven't worked in 2 years. Yeah, probably in like 2 years, but like I haven't really worked a long-term job. Probably since 2020, to be honest. It's been a few years, so it's not like I got a whole bunch of money, stacked and saved up. I've been moving and shaking by the grace of the Lord. You feel me? So this journey has really called me to surrender, to have faith, to trust in divine guidance and all that good stuff. Um but yeah, have intentions of what is it that you are desiring. My desire was getting close to my ancestors, to get close to nature, to learn practical survival living skills like growing your own food, like cooking, like living and being in community, and many other skills that I've been gaining. That was my intention from the beginning. And I gained exactly that plus more, receiving exceedingly abundantly above all I could ever think or imagine. So, yeah, that's everything. And if I have more to say, I guess I'll do a part two. If you enjoyed this video, this topic, if you want to hear more about this topic or more about my journey, let me know in the comments below. You feel me? Like the video if you like this content. Subscribe if you mess with the kid. And until next time, Ali Nicole is out.